Good morning, everyone. Happy Thursday. Welcome to our show. We are NETSTAIRS, and this program is brought to you by Pixel by NETSTAIRS, where we inform, communicate, educate our clientele, and we have different sessions for different topics. In this particular week, as we are getting close to the holiday seasons, one of my goal and objective was to wrap things up with the general questions and answers that we have had from several strategic partners, clientels, soon-to-be clients, and so forth. And we felt it would be a good knowledge set to share and give you some of the views. And with that in mind, this will be the last session of our Holidays 2018 series. As we are getting near the holiday season and we are meeting series of projects and deadlines, and our team is getting ready to leave during the holiday season, we want to take this opportunity to wish everyone that they've been with us and following us a happy holiday season and a great new year. And we resume the session effective January 3rd, 2019. So keep that in mind. We again thank you for attending and listening to our content and our presentation. We hope it has helped you to make series of decisions and understanding that this is an ever-growing market right now, and it's one of the hottest market in the place. So with that in mind, I have had several questions being presented to me. So without any chronological order, I'll present those questions that is been asked, so we can basically go through the process. One of the areas that we were asked was mostly on the medical side, on HIPAA compliant. Although we deal with United States as HIPAA, but we have a lot of other issues and clientels around the globe that they want to ensure HIPAA compliance. So one of the things that I was asked is, based upon our services that we provide, what are the differences between the, let's say, a secured socket layer like what we have, like Pixel, SSL, versus a HIPAA compliant cloud services? So I wanted to share some of that thoughts and ideas with you because we have built a platform working in collaboration with Google to create a HIPAA compliant, where these certifications, which we ultimately have to sign, and we have signed with them, to provide a series of services that it's under HIPAA compliant for telehealth, for electronic medical records, or things in that nature that you need to integrate into these services. So HIPAA obviously stands for Health Information Portability and Accountability Act, for those of you who don't know. And customers who are subject to the requirements of health insurance portability, or HIPAA, are required to follow the technology for economics and health. They call it high tech as a term. And one of the key advantage is that our service provider, including us, have to become a HIPAA compliance. So this responsibility really comes on what we built on Google Cloud Platform as GCP, and the Google becomes the foundation for compliance. So one of the things that we want to mention, in accordance with also Google, this guide is only informational purposes only. None of our vendors or us take any intent that the information and recommendation in this educational process constitute any legal advice. Our customers is responsible for independent evaluating their own particular use of services and as appropriate to support its legal compliance and obligations. So this changes by specialty, by kind of practice versus acute, non-acute, general practice, internist versus specialist, and so forth. So one of the areas that we always try to talk about is it is important that there is really no certification recognized by the US as HHS for HIPAA compliance. That's one thing that I want everybody to understand. And the shared responsibility comes between suppliers, namely us, GCP, Google team, and customer, namely yourself. This triangular relationship has to be built in order to put the circle inside of this triangle, which is patient compliance. So this really have series of rules, from security rules to privacy rules to breach notification rules. These have to become part of your organization standard operating procedures. we normally support the compliance on the business associate agreement. In other words, we become a business associate with GCP. GCP provides us with the soil, which we call, and then we ultimately, as I have many times explained, we build a platform similar to this, where the soil is in here, the buildings and construction and the software services sit on top of each other, and then we deliver that services to you either on a CapEx, where it's under your own brand, or OpEx, where you obtain paid subscription plans. So one of the areas that you really have to be careful about is looking at some of these researches. If you need additional assistance on that subject, we can send you some white papers and also explain to you about some of the Google infrastructure security designs and why it matters. For instance, this is a page that it talks about the PDF file itself. And again, we can send it to you, but you can see these are the kind of services that we have to maintain. And in addition to that, there are two other criteria that you have to be available that adds to your cost of HIPAA compliance. One of them is that you have to have redundancy. So in case something goes wrong, you can get operational immediately without mitigating your interruption. The other thing is obviously your backup and security off-site policies. For example, one of the things that I started in my early days in early 1980 was I was responsible to build off-site data security for American Express and Merrill Lynch in areas such as South Florida, where we were heavily confounded by different hurricane seasons and storms and so forth. So if the mainframes would go down or something would happen, then what would happen to client transactions? So we had to provide off-site data security and so forth. So these becomes part of your HIPAA policy. So I just want you all know that it's a guidance, but there are about 700 engineers manage this process on a 24/7 under these regulations. So that's one of the questions. Hopefully it can answer your HIPAA compliance, having an extra redundancy, having backup, having policies, procedures that it works with the clients, the protection of the patient as beneficiary and its data is the ultimate goal on HIPAA. Next question, we were asked about WebRTC. There are different types of WebRTC, and as we are involved in this process, they ask us, well, what do we know and how do we know this WebRTC is different than the other WebRTC, and how do we use these WebRTCs for our services? So one of the areas that we spend tremendous amount of time, and we continue spending time on these subjects, are essentially related to researching different WebRTC services and being able to share those output with different clienteles based on their business model, their compliance, their integration, their policy, their workflow, their job chain, their other services that they want to add, such as AI, live casting, media castings, and so forth and so on. So in that respect, one of the things that we have done is we want to tell you that we normally have built and continue to build several strategies that we are right now contemplating based on different topologies, and these topologies are going to accommodate us with different requirements, so you're not only married to one set of a WebRTC codec, and that is one of our diversity. Most companies that we have dealt with, like not mentioning names, they require you to download, install apps and so forth. We try through a series of applications like Pixel mitigate that. So there are no install, there is no download, there is no apps, and you can easily with one single URL get access to the pages, and then be able to conduct your webcast, webinar, sessions, presentations, all of these factors together. So in the next coming year, we are going to be featuring new WebRTC services. These WebRTC services actually come out in different kind of a mindset. One of them is like what we are using, and as we are showing you, is built also in what we call the ICDN. This is our highly scalable platform that we are going to be providing this also to the health market, but with its own derivative and use services. So the ICDN is basically stands for Interactive Content Delivery Network. It will work in different countries, different point of entries. It will work in addition to fiber optics that Google provides through fiber base, and we capitalize on their data center to provide that, and capitalize on their 700 team to manage the ongoing process, while we as a software and as a service provider ensure that the quality of the service and integrity of the data has always been maintained for you and on your behalf. The next generation of products that we are coming out is going to be mostly in the compiler format. We have retained several engineer team. We work with different groups, what we call good, bad, and ugly. We learned a lot from some of them, and we learned some of them that they're not ethicals. They sell us older versions instead of a new version. So being a catalyst in this industry, we try to always work with the latest releases and latest technologies, or supporting stable platform for our clients on open systems. And one of the reasons that we became a very good supplier of WebRTC is because of our diversity, that we know different formats can work different ways. Example, if you're going into, let's say, a pixel solution strategy, it is HTML5. It's very user friendly for integration. It's kind of connected to a very powerful CMS that it gives you the ability to expand, diversify, manage, and grow and build different digital media rooms for different use cases and applications. Where when you're going into, let's say, Pixel 2 is going to become a foundation that is going to be available for our screencasting. Our screencasting obviously right now is being activated, so I cannot show you, but you will be having a platform that you can just do audio presentation or video and audio and microphone and screen presentation as a service. And this services becomes a subscription base for you that you can accommodate and bring your colleagues into it and use them for a variety of personal or business use. In addition to that, Pixel 3, where we are right now experimenting with it, and Pixel, what we call Blue, is a series of technologies that right now we are building the foundations for technologies that we call Oswald. Oswald was something that we discussed last week about the video wall, where you could be able to accommodate multiple video casting and be able to have different point of entries, and then the viewers can see one screen with all of those videos, so you truly are doing a real-time multicasting video. But this is going to come from this kind of engines that right now we are building and testing them out for this kind of topologies, so it can accommodate you. The other part is that during 2019 we will be seeing a release of new iSocial TV, where iSocial TV, in addition to having its own TV network, will be completely revised, where it can accommodate the Oswald and also Pixel services. So this is going to be like a little 3D layer cake of services that customers that they are primarily in the media and entertainment businesses. For example, when you go to a TV network in here, right, and you look at certain things, now you can have a channel such as HBO, but then you can have different content under that HBO. So this is where we try to accommodate different customers or different settings, because these protocols like KRO, which is a Dutch or Netherlands public broadcast, so they have different point of entries for different broadcasting and so forth. So we were testing and broadcasting to 2 million viewers. So this network, when it gets revised along with the WebRTC standards and multicasting and digital media room that you're seeing in here, are going to be optional services available. So a company who is in media casting business can simply obtain a network from one of our clients, HIPAA corporations, and build multiple channels. And these channels can become obviously content that it accommodates the clients with different settings, so they can have different viewing, different content, and so forth, and then be able to broadcast. And eventual problem and program is that these are non-linear. One of the things is designed for the OTT, which we also talk about that in a few minutes with another question. But that gives you a little general idea that our WebRTC really comes with different flavors. That is the general education to the public. We need to understand the customer's need, requirements, and what they like to do with it, and then based on that make the recommendation based on the core ICDN engines that we are building on different topologies. And then these topologies are going to be running on this kind of engines that is going to accommodate different use and different applications. Next question. What are the difference between owning your own property versus just renting or leasing? Well, we have been advocate of both sides of the equation. We have clients that they are in the business of taking profit from this $7 trillion marketplace. So therefore they have invested with us. They have geo IPs, they have market share, they have verticals, they have different projects that they are doing to build use of NETSTAIRS technologies and services into a meaningful use. Example is again Interactive Academy, which is coming shortly. Right now we are working with Pearson to bring English as a second language. We are going in the final stages of the approval by Pearson, which they're extremely excited about this, and they're displaying that to among their own colleagues and get us feedback, so therefore we can make things more productive, more accessible for English users. And in fact we have a host of subscribers right now. They're lined up from Russia all the way to Latino market that they want to sign up. So it's good news to understand that again integration, application, and these kind of situations are part of this. So Interactive Academy has invested into that platform. So that is a CapEx model. It's made for the schools, made for the students, it's made for the content providers such as Pearson, that they can bring content, technology, and make it available to the students and the teachers. On the OpEx model, we have use cases that people come to us and say, hey, we got a trade show and we want to give out ACK code to our customers so they can simply come over and visit us later on. So you can build out something like a card like this with a QR code, for example, and then accommodate a way that as people come to your booth, they can get an ACK code, and when they get the ACK code, you can populate your room with your content and then share that, and that becomes a CapEx model. So again, just giving you some generality of differences between use cases and CapEx. CapEx ultimately depreciates because it's a digital economy assets, just like a building and a property that you own physically. These days, assets and infrastructures and software are depreciated schedules, and therefore they get amortized by accounting standards, versus OpEx, that it becomes either rental that you can do as is or by incident, or you can do leasing on a long term and get an advantage of volume discount. The other advantage with us is that our clientels are not married to one room, unlike many other services that is offered around the globe. They sign up one account to one room. We have one to many. We can have different rooms for different use cases, different channels, different ways of multicasting. So that is really one of the big differences between CapEx, which requires capital expenditure, versus OpEx, which is an operating expense. So one you write off, the other one you amortize and you show as your asset in your balance sheet. Another question that we had in some around the same line was about digital economy. A lot of questions were, well, people are talking about digital economy, why aren't we getting into a digital dividend? And what is digital economy in some of these areas? And what does real-time communication have to do with the digital economy? So we did some research on those subjects, and we found certain data that it could help our colleagues in here to get some of the general ideas that what we are talking about. First of all, digital divide really has brought a dividend right now into two spectrum. There are countries that they have adopted and they are benefiting from it, and there are countries that they are falling behind. And those countries that they are falling behind, they can take a two-step attitude. Either build a leapfrog and be ahead of the market, or just follow the crowd and be a follower. We have seen both on both sides of the equation. We have seen different nations, since we work globally between different continents, different geo IPs. We have seen different experiences. So with that, one of the areas that we looked at it was a divide. Really, it's the making of the internet with it, making it accessible, affordable, or open and safe, allowing the community and population at large to have connectivity. And then it complements the area where digital technology, the innovators of both geo IP and global, like us, that we work with our partners to share our vision and mission and goal and objectives with them, embrace them with their communication as a foundation for their center fusion, and helping them to include that, build an efficiency and innovation to create benefits. Again, example of some of these things that we are talking about is working with media aggregators such as OTT to create a new monetization where they can watch movies together. Okay? So some of these examples again will answer. Also, reducing risk, control, inequality, and concentration has created this according to the source WDR 2016 team. This information, again, if you have a further request, we can send that to you. But you can see that the pessimism concerning the global outlook is not because of digital technologies. It's in spite of them, actually. So you can see there are global productivity in here that you can see from 1973 started going into different fluctuations of years. And as AI now takes over, these charts are going to become extremely interesting to see human decline in productivity versus machine increase. So that's going to be a new charts that you're going to be seeing in the future, in the next few years. They're going to be studying this kind of thing. So as AI gets introduced with IOTs, with Internet of Everything and smart cities and all of these variables, you're going to see the global productivity of certain nations in those arenas is going to go dramatically high. In global inequality is going to be substantially steeper, because then you got the top guys, call it the haves and the haves not, and they are the ones that they're going to be ruling. So you really need to take a decision as a businessman, as a strategist, as a corporate, as personal. How do you want to position yourself? Because changes are coming, whether you like it or not. These are statistics, data that is provided, and we are sharing that with you just to show you that development and statistics of this governance are going to have a profound impact. The other thing that we saw along with this was an article that I wrote back in 2014, why real-time communication becomes an integral part of Internet of Everything. This is available again on LinkedIn pages, or we can send you the links if you like. But we wrote this article back in 2014, which now 4 years is gone by. So we are telling you it has taken a traction. So with that kind of a setting right now, the most important thing that for us is to look at where this money comes from. So Deloitte did a research globally, and they found out that TV advertising and TV subscription brings the biggest live revenues, okay, in your streaming services. So you're going to have to look at those as your strategy to reach out to your clientele, to your customers, to your monetization models, because they carry the highest chart. Then you find that cinema, B2B events, live, sports, radio, or other streaming services that you see are obviously have a smaller market share. And these are the ones that you really have to look at it where we say data drives it. So you're going to have to create position. And if your company strategically is not positioned, retain us as your consultant. We'll help you out. We'll assist you in this transition. We'll bring resources, both internal and external, to build infrastructures and to build your communication as a center fusion of your corporation, where you can communicate with your UCCs and other equipment and devices that you need to do. But live TV, radio, this kind of information that has been in tradition, as you can see, there are many datas in here, but companies like Hulu, companies like Netflix and so forth, they have been able to create a tremendous opportunity on the monetization, as you can see. And we believe most of our clientels, when they are deploying WebRTC as their leapfrog for their streaming, for their OTT services, they should be able to look at that as a such. Next question that I had again about some of this was, can you explain IOTT in a layman's term? In a layman's term, it's really difficult, but the best way that I can explain it to you is when you go to a site and you have content, okay, that you have subscribed, such as Netflix, for example, right? So if you're going to netflix.com and you're subscribing to this, obviously that becomes a process. Or when you go into Hulu, you subscribe to what we call OTT. Now there are many other OTTs available. For example, in Malaysia, there is by Telecom Malaysia, is called TM Unify. Or you go to another countries that you find their OTT services, such as India, comprised of 60,000 vendors, okay, in the OTT market. So these are basically guys that they allow you to watch movies, they aggregate content, and they share that in different specialty with you, and they call it over the top. In other words, you don't have any cable, you don't have any satellites sending signals to you, which those days I used to work with DirecTV and the team. We had to send everything through DTH, direct to home signals. Now internet is becoming the cord cutter, which now you're getting into what they call connected TV. And that is one of the reasons we shared iSocial TV with you, that essentially iSocial is becoming connected TV. It will allow you to connect your own user-generated content, obtain subscriptions, integrate services and so forth, and have a gateway that you can share with your loved ones. So in that kind of a setting, one of the areas that we looked at it is being able to provide different type of equipment. So this kind of equipment actually became extremely important to us, because one of the things we wanted to see is this box. This box is an integrated box that it allows us to deliver high definition content for you, and at the same time connect it to your TV. And with your TV, then you have the ability to obviously have colleagues like we have in here, and watch content and share and broadcast. And this to us is the future of connected TV, interactive TV, and iSocial TV, and what we refer to as IOTT. We term the coin interactive, over the top, because we integrate this kind of WebRTC services and broadcast that with guaranteed eyeball, with guaranteed time that you spend, and with guaranteed content that you share. And those three factors becomes a great foundation building HTML5 advertising for through IAB standards and publications for transformation of your regular linear or non-linear video into an IOTT experience. Again, the example of those are very simple. One is, for example, you can through IOTT at your couch meet with your doctor. So you don't have to go and be in the exam room and wait up for hours when you don't feel good. You can meet with a city official and ask a question in live person with interactive intelligent robot or a human as an agent to be able to answer your questions. So this kind of services, when you look at it, then you see that there are opportunities that we can definitely bring. And then from an event point of view, obviously presenting that and sharing that and creating a whole new paradox of gaming, interactive game and interactive experiences. These are become the foundation of those. So with that in mind, I think I like to wrap this session, and thank you all for attending. So IOTT in our generality is interactive over the top, giving us the ability to make your TV as connected TV and provide you with your own device or subscribed devices through our distribution network that you can obtain, and make your TV into a whole new experience, including VR, including augmented reality, and all of these aspects that we will be introducing. So, in short, thank you for joining us during 2018. We will definitely keep you appraised of all of our progress, and we'll see you next year on January 3rd. And have a wonderful holiday season. Cheers.